Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 3 of the Q&A. So let me get on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's finish this up. Alright, first question. Hey Jason, I've been training my girlfriend for a few months now on a weightlifting program. She has made pretty good strength and aesthetic gains. She reps 110 on squats, reps 65 on bench press, reps 85 on pendalay rows, and can do a few pull-ups. She only weighs 100 pounds. However, her hands are very small, and she doesn't have a strong enough grip to do things like deadlifts or certain exercises that require good grip strength. What should I do to help her with this? Thanks for all of your help, Jason. All right, good question. All right, your girlfriend's making fantastic strength gains. That is fantastic. Now, some people will probably note, hey, her strength to weight ratios are really good. That's why you don't look at ratios, guys. She's probably shorter with a smaller frame, so she moves the bar a shorter distance on these exercises. So that means pound for pound, she's going to be stronger than some other girls at a similar experience level. But nonetheless, that is pretty impressive progress, and so props for getting her to where she is so far. So the issue with her hands and grip strength, there's a few things you can do there. Number one, you need to make sure that you're at a gym that has small enough bars for her to grip. She's obviously going to have to go to a mixed grip on the deadlift, all right? That's just unavoidable. She's going to have to use a mixed grip. Don't try to do any of this hook grip stuff. Don't try to do double overhand. She has small hands. You don't have room for this bullshit. She's got to go to a mixed grip, and that will offset some of the negatives of it. You're going to need chalk for sure. She's going to need to chalk up. And you're going to need to make sure that your gym has proper deadlift bars. Proper deadlift bars are 28 millimeters, and sometimes some gyms can get ones that are 26 millimeters. All right, she's going to need to grip things with a smaller bar. The smaller the bar, the easier it is to grip, but particularly for people with smaller hands. So that's going to be real high on the priority list. Same thing, if you go look, if there's a couple different chin-up bars in there, if she's struggling with chin-ups or pull-ups, you'll notice some of them are smaller in diameter than others. Have her use those. So that's what you need to do. In addition to that, again, the mixed grip, using smaller bars, everything else, she'll probably need to do some grip work. I'm going to recommend that you get her some grip trainers or have her start squeezing a tennis ball. Her hands might be a bit small to squeeze a tennis ball, but you can start with that. You can also get cheap grip trainers. The other thing she can do is start doing farmer's walk to some of her GBP work. Anything to start improving her grip strength. The other thing she could do would be to hang from chin-up bars. So grip holds with her body weight hanging. All of this stuff should help. But the fact that she can do the pendalay rows with 85 pounds tells me that her grip should be okay for deadlifts. But you're going to have to get her over to the mixed grip. And I know a lot of people worry about that. They think they're concerned about the mixed grip. It scares them. You shouldn't be. Mixed grip is perfectly fine. Don't let anyone tell you that it isn't. You just have to learn to make sure that your elbows are locked out on it. So again, that's what you're going to have to do for her. And it should hopefully resolve most of these issues she's having with grip strength. All right, next question. Any thoughts on the concept of trigger sessions? For example, training one set full body 3 times a week, but doing body weight stuff or really light sets on off days to keep the anabolic signal going. Thank you, sir. All right, a lot of top athletes out there do this. A lot of top powerlifters do stuff like this. Rich Piana, I think, tries to call them feeder workouts on here. Some people call them trigger workouts. They go by different names. A lot of people can place them under the category of GPP or just working on their work capacity. Meaning, I've heard of guys who bench press, 400 or 500 pounds, who do things like 20 rep sets several times a day for presses on their chest with 20 or 25 pound dumbbells. Insignificant amount of weight, but it's keeping blood flow going. It's keeping, it's almost a form of active recovery. Now, as far as it giving you actual anabolic signaling to re-spark muscle protein synthesis, that's hard to say. It's really going to vary depending on the person. It's going to depend on how much growth you stimulated during your main workouts. All right, that's going to be a big factor. Could these little workouts help reinforce some of that training? Yes, as long as they don't negatively impact your recovery. Meaning if they start edging into your maximum recoverable fatigue or maximum recoverable volume for a week, they're going to be problematic. If they don't do so, they're not a problem for you. And if you enjoy doing them, then by all means carry on. As long as they're not causing you to overreach, then carry on. Are they going to help you? Not guaranteed. In some cases, they might help you. They might help you gain a little more muscle. They might not. But if you enjoy doing them, they're not a problem for your time commitment, and they're not negatively interfering with your recovery, then they might help, then by all means, carry on. Since we know they might help, they're not guaranteed to, but if they're not hurting you in any way as far as time commitment, recovery, and you like them, why not? Go ahead. Just exercise. So that's the way I would look at that sort of stuff. And if nothing else, at least they improve your work capacity a little bit. Okay, next question. Jason, a muscle can only grow so much in a given workout. Therefore, is it reasonable to push, let's say, for 8 reps when the 5th or 6th rep is already a PR? Where is the cutoff, and when does it only impede your recovery? All right, so that's an interesting point. This is going to be hard to answer because when you're dealing with novices, if they can do extra work and they're capable of it, then by all means, they should go ahead and go for that 7th or 8th rep if they can do it, even if their PR was with a 5. But what you need to consider here, if you're not a novice lifter, when is this ever going to happen? Meaning, if the most you've ever lifted is 4 reps of 300 pounds on an exercise and you get to a 5th rep and it's a PR, when does an intermediate or an advanced lifter ever see that happen? You don't double your number of reps that you can do on a max number of reps just overnight. That doesn't happen. That sometimes takes 6 months, a year, 2 years to achieve. It doesn't just happen randomly, just all of a sudden you picked up 3 or 4 reps with a moderately heavy weight. When does this ever happen? When you go on your first big blast of drugs, maybe. But when you do your second blast, it's not going to happen again. So it's kind of a weird question because at a certain point, no, you don't need to. If you've gained 1 rep on a major exercise with a given weight, you're done. You probably stimulated about as much growth as you're going to stimulate in that session. You probably don't need to push it out. But you know what? If you can get the 6th, and you want to do the 6th, and your ego needs for you to do the 6th, and you can do so without hurting yourself, then why not? Is it probably going to give you more growth? Probably not, because you've already subjected the muscle to a new workload. And if you're not a novice lifter, that extra rep is probably enough to maximize any muscle growth you're going to get. But if the strength is in the tank to do a 6th, and you don't have a higher ramping up phase coming next week, okay, go for it. But this only works when you're on a loosely structured program. Meaning when you're on a program where you're doing AMREPs, I understand that, but if you're on a strict percentages-based program or periodization-based program, this will fuck you. Because you just interfered with the loading pattern and recovery pattern by doing an extra rep with a heavy set that's not scheduled into your total tonnage and your recovery pattern. That just because you're capable of doing something when you're working with near maximum workloads on a progression pattern, just because you're physically capable of doing something doesn't mean that you should, because it will interfere with your recovery patterns. And you've got to remember that when you're on a structured program where sets and reps are mapped out already and you get stronger. Now with a novice lifter, someone who's not that strong yet, they're not going to see a problem with this. But an intermediate lifter, who again is on a structured percentage-based program, and he hasn't changed something in his drug stack, like added drugs in, or someone who wasn't on drugs who added drugs in, which that's still adding drugs in, you don't mess with your programming like that because it will interfere with your training next week. And then you'll screw up your whole progression pattern. So it really kind of depends on what your program looks like. But loosely structured programs, so where you're not mapped out for overreaching and deloads and percentages and everything 6 months ahead of time, yeah, it's probably fine. But understand that you might be slightly weaker for it in a few days or next week because, again, you now need to recover a little more for that extra work. But it's probably not going to give you extra growth. But, you know, sometimes we need these things for our egos. And people who aren't on structured programs, people who aren't competitive athletes, sometimes our ego is nice to appease in the gym. So if you can do it, I guess go ahead and go for it, as long as you can do so safely. But just do not mess with a pre-written program. Don't fuck with that stuff. These coaches who write these things for you usually know more than you do. Don't mess with what they write for you. Unless you think that you're good enough to rewrite their programs, in which case you didn't need a coach to write a program in the first place. See how that works? All right, next question. Hey Jason, I'm currently doing your novice 5x5 and I'm getting elbow pain during tricep extensions on workout A. Is there an equal substitute that doesn't run the risk of elbow pain for that exercise, like the dips or closed grip bench press in workout B? I'll be straightforward with you on this one, brother. If you're getting elbow pain doing the tricep extensions on my novice program, cut them out. Cut them out. Don't replace them with anything. Cut them out. Your tricep tendons are being overworked. You don't need the isolation in this case in the program. The other exercises that I already have programmed in, you've got pressing 3 days a week. You're doing a minimum of 15 sets of heavy pressing every week. Generally going to be more. It can be as many as 17 or 18 for some people in the novice program. Kind of depending upon how your week goes when you mix in the overhead pressing and closed grip days. So you're doing as many as 18 sets of heavy presses every week. And if the tricep extensions are too much, take them out. In fact, tricep extensions are optional on this program anyways. You know why I have them in there? Because if I don't include direct arm work, no one will run the program. They're not doing anything for your muscle growth in this program. You're probably growing your triceps as big as the human body will allow you to grow them on the program without them. But if I didn't include them, people would be like, well, there's no direct arm work. I'm going to have noodle arms because I'm only doing 18 sets of presses a week. See what I mean? The dumbass noobs won't run the program without the arm work. It has to be there to get the noobs to run it. But in your case, you're getting, it's fatiguing your triceps. You're getting close to overreaching. You're going to injure yourself because of your personal recovery. You can't take it. Cut them out. You're not going to see any negatives at all in your tricep growth. You got bench press, closed grip bench press, and overhead press. Pressing 3 days a week, some days as many as 8 sets. You should have no trouble at all growing your triceps. So just cut them out. Everything's going to be fine. Run it that way with them removed. If you start getting pain down here, then cut the curls out. Real simple, guys. Pretty straightforward. Alright, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.